I ate chicken tikka masala all the time for breakfast as a kid. There, I said it. We'll begin by marinating our chicken. Here, I'm using chicken thighs, which we're gonna cut into nice big 2-inch chunks like this. I'm using chicken thighs here because they're packed with more flavor and are also more difficult to overcook. And as always, I'm using my secondary cutting board trick here so that nothing gets contaminated and I've got a quick and easy cleanup when I'm finished cutting the chicken. Now that this is done, I'll move it off to the side and I'll move on to cutting my vegetables. First, a red bell pepper that I'm gonna roll out nice and flat like this. If you've never seen this cutting trick before, by the way, it's the best. Then also an orange bell pepper, although you can use whatever color bell peppers you want here. I just thought the color of these would pop and work well in a tikka masala. Now, same thing with these. We're going for about 2-inch chunks to match our chicken as best we can. And because of the shape of the peppers, they're not all gonna be perfect, but that's okay. And last but not least, our onion. Same as everything else, we're going for those similarly sized large chunks. That way, everything cooks at a more similar rate. And now is when it all comes together. I'll go in first with my onions, then all of my bell peppers, then my chicken, and now is when things get tasty. We'll add our Greek yogurt. Yogurt is key here because it tenderizes the chicken while also carrying all the spices we're about to add. Next, our garlic ginger paste. Then we'll go in with our dried fenugreek leaves, a sprinkle of salt, and now, my favorite part. It's always a good day when I get to pull out the masala dabba. We'll add some turmeric, then a little bit of dried coriander. Next, some Kashmiri chili powder. We're actually gonna put a good amount of that one. Then some garam masala, a little cumin, and to finish, we wanna get all the zest and juice from one lime. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Zest of any kind is one of my favorite ingredients in the kitchen. Once we finish that, don't forget to grab the juice as well. That is a big old bowl of flavor. Now, if you haven't guessed already, we're gonna mix it all up. I love the color that we're gonna get right away from this yogurt here, but just wait until later. Those colors that we start to get once we get it in the pot and cooking are incredible. You don't have to do this part if you don't want, but I'm also gonna get in there with my fingers to make sure I really coat everything. This marinade smells amazing, so incredibly fragrant. It's making the whole kitchen smell good and we haven't even cooked anything with it yet. Once fully mixed, cover with plastic wrap and toss in the fridge for 2 hours or preferably overnight. While our chicken's marinating in the fridge, we're gonna soak our cashews and our skewers. We soak the cashews to give us that nice silky, creamy masala. And as for the skewers, we soak these mainly so that they don't catch on fire while we grill our chicken. For now, I'll set this off to the side while we prepare our skewers. To build our skewers, there are really no rules. Take your marinated chicken, grab a soaked skewer, and just go for it, making sure to leave yourself a handle on the bottom. To keep these skewers somewhat consistent, I'm gonna make myself a general order here and try to stick to it, but the only thing that really matters here is that you get it on there. And do your very best to try to spread it out a little bit. I'm gonna take and measure my first skewer over my grill pan just to make sure that it's gonna fit well, and this can serve as my guide for the rest of my skewers. Fun fact while I layer all of this here is that British people love chicken tikka so much that they made their own slightly different version of chicken tikka and made it their national dish. So it's definitely fair to say that this is one of the most loved curry dishes in the entire world, and there's a really good reason behind that. It's delicious. Even though there are quite a few ingredients, it's not really too complicated, and you can make people think you absolutely know what you're doing, even if you don't. Ah, perfect. These skewers look great. Find a good resting area for your skewers once you finish making each of them, and we are ready to cook. It's time to char our chicken. Onto a nice hot griddle, I'll add my chicken, and I'll even weigh it down so we get that nice hard sear. What we're going for here is a smoky tandoor style flavor. Let's see how we're doing. No, if the chicken doesn't want to release yet, I'm gonna leave it. Let it do its thing. The chicken should tell me when it's ready to flip. Ah yes, that's exactly what we're going for. Those occasional black spots of char are perfect. If and when you've gotten that proper char, it should release itself from the pan. And if it doesn't, you probably need to boost your temperature. If you don't have weights like this in your kitchen, you can always use a nice heavy bottom pot like this to press things down. But the key here is that you want to force the chicken and the vegetables to get that char. Once you feel you've gotten a nice char on all sides, go ahead and set your skewers off to the side. We're gonna let them rest for a few moments while we prep everything else. Lay your skewers with a little bit of space in between on a very hot griddle pan. Our skewers are done, which means now we'll move on to making the actual masala. First, we'll begin by slicing off the ends and peeling a few shallots, each of which I'll chop up into a nice small dice. If you need to, go ahead and run your knife through these at the end to make sure you didn't miss any larger pieces throughout the process. Now, we'll move on over to a Dutch oven over low heat and add in some neutral oil, as well as 1 Indian bay leaf, a few cardamom pods, 1 black cardamom pod, a few cloves, and some Indian cinnamon. And then we'll lightly toast them for 1 to 2 minutes, stirring constantly until fragrant. That means until your entire kitchen starts to smell amazing. Your heat should be low enough here that at most you'll see light little bubbles like this. Next, we'll add in our shallots, as well as a generous sprinkle of salt, and continue to mix. I'm gonna cook this for 8 to 10 minutes on medium-low until the middle is soft and the edges are lightly golden brown. Ah, and I almost forgot. we need rice. I'm gonna keep this simple. I'll add some pre-rinsed basmati rice to my rice cooker. Then I'll cover it up with some water, and that should be perfect. Ooh, I gotta stir this. Oops. That's what happens when you forget to make your rice. You know what though? I'm always okay with a few extra little golden brown spots. Since we're going for light golden brown anyways, this is fine. I think I barely caught it just in time. Rice cooker we'll put back here, next to our cashews, which I totally forgot about. To continue, I'll cut this green chili right in half and toss that in, as well as my ginger garlic paste. And now we stir again. This I'm not gonna walk away from. We wanna stir constantly to prevent any burning. It's time to add even more of these spices, so I'll go in first with some Kashmiri chili powder. That'll help with the turmeric to give us a beautiful color in the masala. Then a bit of coriander, as well as some cumin, some turmeric, and garam masala. And now we wanna stir this up to toast those spices as well. Because these are fine and ground up, these will toast quickly, so be careful here. If you burn them, you'll make yourself a very bitter masala. Once it becomes fragrant, go ahead and add your tomato sauce, and then bring that heat back up to medium-low and stir, with the goal now being to thicken things up a bit and slightly darken that tomato sauce, which will take about 8 to 10 minutes, but in the meantime, we can blend up our soaked cashews. To blend the cashews, I'll strain away the soaking liquid, which can tend to be just a bit bitter, and then I'll add them to a blender along with some new water, and then we'll blend it all up. This is what makes the cashews such an incredible part of this recipe. You're able to make something that acts just like cream out of only water and nuts. Get that as smooth as you can because it only makes it better. We're gonna add this now to our tomato mixture. Look how smooth and creamy that is. As well as a splash of water, another pinch of salt, and after you've stirred it all up and let everything combine, just the tiniest pinch of sugar if you tasted it and feel it needs it. Wow, that is a really perfectly colored masala. The moment I know we've been waiting for, let's bring it all together now. Take those skewers, toss it all in. After all that waiting, our skewers and our sauce get to meet each other for the first time. Along with these, I'll add some dry fenugreek leaves, and then we stir. If you're cooking this at home and your neighbors haven't come knocking on your door already, now they will. Once everything's well combined, cover this up and let it simmer for just a few minutes while you go get your plate ready. When it comes to plating, no right or wrong answers. My rice I'll place in a small bowl off to the side. Obviously, we'll keep the rest nearby for refills. And now for the tikka. I tend to eat a lot of this, so I'm not really gonna hold back when it comes to the plating. I forgot to mention this earlier, but if your masala ends up too thick or too thin, it's a really easy fix. You can either add some water to thin it out, or you can keep cooking it a few extra minutes to thicken it up. To finish, we'll add a little cream and a few bits of cilantro, and as always, a side of naan. And that is my chicken tikka masala.